Hey everyone, this is a quick one on how to avoid running out of money in retirement. And I'm also going to touch on the 4% withdrawal rate or distribution rule that we all kind of advocate for in the industry. So, first off, and this may seem silly even having to mention this, but to avoid running out of money in retirement, you need to spend less than you make. And it's even more important now at this point in your career because you probably don't want to return to work or you're burnt out or you're a curmudgeon. Anyways, you don't want to have to go back to work and have a boss essentially, but spend less than you make. What I mean by that is your Social Security, which you probably qualify for as long as you work at least 10 years or so. You typically qualify that, and there's some weird marriage stuff too as well. You qualify for a spouse. That is your baseline. So if that's $2,000 a month, you shouldn't have liabilities higher than that. And by liabilities, I mean fixed mortgage, car payments, etc. You really need to, worst case scenario, rely on that as a final option in case everything else goes to zero. If you can live on Social Security alone, you're probably in a good spot here and you won't run out of money because that is backed by the US government, obviously, and all the tax dollars they reap from everyone's still working. So it is a good system, believe me. It's you'll be happy that it's there and that check comes in every month for you and you get adjusted for COLA or cost of living adjustment too. So live below your means. I would personally recommend that you get all your liabilities down to that Social Security and you stick around that number essentially. Second step, and this is probably just as important, maybe almost quite as important, is you're going to stay invested long term, always, even when you are a retiree. You may tailor down your risk level in your portfolio. You may have more bonds, less stocks. This is totally up to an individual, person. How I manage people's money is I actually keep them more in equities or stocks, like we say. Typically, these are not your crazy wild growth stuff. These are more blue chip, dividend yielding, your boring Home Depots and WalMarts and etc. like that. We want to get that dividend yield for income. We don't care about crazy growth. We just want some growth above and beyond inflation. So I do keep most of my retirees pretty heavily in equities because inflation is always on our minds, obviously. We don't want to run out of money or have our dollar diminished by that inflation over time. And trust me, there always will be inflation because the other direction has been deemed not to work well. So there always will be some inflation. That's okay if you have investments essentially. Now, the goal is to keep about 2 or 3 years of your living expenses, your fixed hard living expenses, in cash and or money market within your account. So right now, as of this video, money market has somewhat of an attractive yield. Actually, it's around 5%. That's nice because that's actually higher than what inflation is currently reading at too. So you're telling me I can just sit in cash, awesome, and make more money. Wonderful. I would do that. That's not consistent over time, too. It's pretty rare, actually, I'd say. But usually, when I'm constructing someone's retirement portfolio on the back end, I do want to keep about 2 or 3 years in liquid cash or money market that does not fluctuate with equities or bonds over that time as well. That's for their peace of mind. It's for their distributions each year, too, if we're taking it. And it really helps long term, as long as you want keeping some equities in that account too, as well, or a good portion of it, because you may live to be 90 or 100 years old. And if you're too conservative, you could run out. So I do want to caution you on that. Now, you don't want to be too aggressive either out of your comfort zone, but you should continue to stay invested long term. Think about it. You retire at 60 and you live to be somewhere in your 90s. It's a 30-year window. So at 60, you're still young in a weird way with investing too. So keep thinking young, keep staying invested long term. If not for yourself, then for your estate and your heirs. Okay, you're going to pay down or pay off your liabilities here. That's going to help big time to avoid running out of money here in retirement. So have the big stuff done. Ideally, have your primary home paid off. Don't have consumer debt. Don't be trying to retire with wild credit card debt or 2 new vehicles that are $1,000 a month. Take care of all that stuff before you go. You do not want to walk into retirement having those liabilities. It's going to increase your distribution on your portfolio, or it's going to be really tough to conquer, honestly. You're probably going to be withdrawing too much money from your accounts, and then you have a sequence of risk and sequence of return from your accounts there based on what the market gives us. So take care of those fixed liabilities. If the mortgage is 100 grand left on it too, and you just refinanced recently and it's a minimal few $100s a month, I'm really not concerned about that. You probably have more than that in your accounts anyways if we wanted to just chunk it down or pay it off at that point too and just reduce that liability. Next, we're going to have lines of credit open. So what I mean by that, let's say you have a paid off house, by the way, too, and it's worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. I'm going to have you open a HELOC on that house probably before you retire while you still have income to qualify it. And it's not going to be a ton. We might keep it open for, we might have a $50,000, $100,000, maybe a $200,000 HELOC. That's going to be there throughout your retirement. We're going to open it for the longest term possible. And we're not going to draw on it, because remember, there's no interest cost or cost typically tied to it unless there's actually a balance carried on it. So we're just going to have it open. It's going to be there to cover any large expenses that we may need to cover in the future that we can't see now. Last option, and most of you guys probably won't like this, but if you are over withdrawing from your accounts, if you are running out of money, you may need to work part-time. Now, luckily, we're in the gig economy, so you can do this more easily than in the past, where there may be some age discrimination or something too with your body or your health, where you just can't do what you used to do because you're in your 60s or 70s now. But I do have one client who drives Uber regularly just to pick up a little extra income. It's not much for the year; it's 15 or 20K, but they noticed they were overspending a bit too, and of course I told them as well. And he's picked up some side work and just dealt with it that way. Now it's nice because he can go off and on whenever he wants to, so he can still spend time with his family and enjoy retirement as well too. But it does help, having a couple extra $1,000s a month come in from him driving Uber, doing rideshare or whatnot too. So the gig economy, you can do a lot of stuff that's still pretty flexible that you could just do on your own too as well. If not, I know Home Depot is kind of a popular place for retirees or pre-retirees or post-retirees. So work in the plant section or something. Okay, so those are a few options here to make sure you don't run out of money. I'm going to elaborate on the 4% rule real quick. Why we want to, and let's say you have $1 million portfolio, just for math, 4% of that is $40,000 per year of income you can withdraw. We say that's the safe withdrawal rate. This has been back tested by folks, obviously. Now, we're really thinking 4 to be, if you want to be really conservative, you can tick that down to 2 or 3 even. What we're looking at is, we know bonds historically have given us maybe 5% over the last 100 years. We know stocks or equities have given us 10 to 12% every year too. So if you're withdrawing 4% and your portfolio is making 10 a year, let's say on average too, you're still actually growing your account for not only yourself, but for your heirs, or you're able to combat those years where there is a massive downturn in the market. Because it will take some time to recover, obviously, as we all know. So the 4% withdrawal rate is, again, if we're looking just at cash and money market right now, you're like, I can sit in cash and make 5%, so I should be able to withdraw 5% too. And I wouldn't disagree with you right now. And heck, everyone's situation is different too. If you're a single person, you have no spouse, no children, 4% withdrawal might be a little too conservative for you, honestly, if your intent is to really spend it down for yourself because there's not too much you want to leave it to outside of church or charity, maybe friends or, your alma mater, build yourself a building, then you can withdraw more. You can honestly withdraw what it's making. So if you have $1 million portfolio and we're like, let's go all equities in it, but we're going to go more dividend or blue chip focus, so there's not as much volatility. And if we pick up 8% still a year on those things, and you're withdrawing $80,000 a year to enjoy, then wonderful. Perpetually, your account should stay at around $2 million or $1 million throughout your retirement, and that's the beautiful part of having that foundation of it. So that 4% rule, again, it's based on everything behind the scenes as far as market performance goes on the principal balance of stuff. It's also based on interest, like simple interest from cash or money market, and then also simple interest from bonds inside your portfolio or dividends inside your stocks. If you have a full dividend portfolio at $1 million with a 3% yield, I don't see why you couldn't spend $30,000 a year pretty liberally, honestly. You could probably do more because outside the dividend, you're probably picking up some growth on your principal as well too for those equities. So that's just a little history on the 4% rule. It is designed to be conservative because we don't want you running out of money. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver you when we're in this industry. We want to get you through retirement all the way. We don't want to have to be the bearer of bad news too as well. Just be flexible on your end. Control what you can control. If there's years where everything is down, I may ask you, let's skip this year's distributions if possible. If I didn't have cash in there already, but I always do anyways. I have 2 or 3 years in everyone's accounts just kind of ready, and that stuff doesn't fluctuate with everything else. But there may be some years where you decide not to take a distribution, essentially, or not as large of a distribution. That does help in the down years. And then on the flip side, there may be good years where the markets pick up 20% and your $1 million just shot up to $1.2 million. I don't see why we couldn't take some of that out and remodel the house, or go on a nice cruise, or do something nice for yourself too as well. Enjoy it. Money's just a tool anyways. It's a tool to get your time back and give you peace of mind. So that is the whole point of it. Those are a few suggestions on how not to run out of money in retirement. And that's it for today. My name is Justin Hodges. Thanks for watching.